Mike Copera with podcastcondition.com with our 97th episode of What You Drinking. We have finally hit it. It's been on the wheel. I would say this has been on the wheel for at least a year. Would you agree? I don't know if both of you guys have been around when we added this, right? I would think you've been around for long enough, Mike, right? I've got my brown bag. How about you, Brandon? It's a bottle, or mine's a can. So, for those listening, because this is I'm recording this as an audio podcast now to hopefully eventually put on iTunes, but I've been just testing out. So I'm going to leave the price tag on mine because mine was $1.
Wow.
Mickey's, which if you can't tell by now, that's what we landed on last week for the wheel. So I'm getting a text, it looks like, from Dan. He said he got the brown bagging in 10 minutes message. Let me send this out again, because I definitely sent it out to him. He was on the main, because you guys got the invite, right?
Yes, we did.
Yep.
Let's see. All right. Well, anyways, so I've got my Mickey's. What did you bring to the table here?
Original malt liquor, 40 ounce. You know, by the way, that was not a bargain, Mike, because I have gotten 40 ounce Mickey's for $2.
Yeah, you're probably right, but I taste too much because I don't imagine this going to be. I just can't. We'll see. Well, I want to see what this looks like. It's clear as water.
Yeah.
About the same color. This beer is 5.9% ABV. Regular Schlitz is about 4.6 or something like that. I just had a regular Schlitz just for sake of comparison. Fact.
ABV. Do you know?
That's like 5.6, 5.9, something like that.
5.6.
Yeah.
Speaking of which,
just like this one. That's right.
oh come on, people, don't do this.
Google
That's sorry, folks. Sorry.
I failed to get out there and get exposure. I guess I didn't make too much of an effort to do it. But I have a beer by Night Shift Brewing, another Boston local brewery. This one is called Whirlpool. It's got the Night Shift owl on the can. It's a pale ale, and according to the can, bursting with notes of peach and citrus. And it is. It's got a lot of fruit. Peach is very strong. It's very unique. It's a good beer. I really like it. It's low alcohol, 4.3. But delicious.
With a couple of breweries beers, haven't you? I recognize that.
If I did, I might have. I haven't had many of their beers, but lately I don't know if they've increased production or what, but I've been seeing them popping up more and more around me, and so I've started sampling more and more of their beers, and I definitely look for them now.
I don't know. It says that he left the group chat, so I don't know. So what does that beer look like, Mike? I'm sorry if I missed that.
That's all right. Right. It's very outy. It's got kind of a yellow, and I mean, to me, it's hard to see on the camera, but it does show up almost like peach colored. So surprising given the real peach flavor it's got there. Now you can see the lacing on the glass, but I poured this thing, and I mean, it was almost overflowing. The head on this was huge.
Yeah. Nope. So we will see. I needed. You just have to.
I have to say, it doesn't smell too bad because I got the mix. I mean, it doesn't smell like a bad beer.
No, that's the. Oh, is this clear?
Yeah.
A lot of carbonation in there. And you're right, it doesn't smell that bad. What did I just have the other night? It was another. It wasn't the, because my favorite Pilsner is probably Oscar Blues. Mama's Little Yellow Pills. It's amazing. Oh, the one I had was the Pivo pills from
Oh, is that
California. Firestone
Walker? Yeah.
So that one is right up there with it, in my opinion. It's a really good one. This one could, I mean.
Yeah. No, and the taste it's not bad. I mean, I remember this being the last malt liquor that I ever drank, and I wouldn't turn my nose up at it. I mean, I don't know if I'd finish off 40 ounces of it, but it's not because it tastes bad. It's because it's like have 3 of the same thing in a row. I'd rather have some variety. What I essentially consider kind of one of my college beers. I have it in the last remaining bit of lifted glassware from from a college bar. Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
There you go.
Surprisingly, I'm not that turned off. It's not horrible, but it's not my choice.
I'm sure the more, the easier it is to get.
Yeah, I felt a little weird buying it because it was like, it's like I'm really leaving a liquor store for $1.50. I don't know. I feel like I overcycled it, but yeah, I don't know. So I went to the Binny's by my house and I explained what we're doing this evening. Just I had to protect my reputation and all, and so the guy I'm not a big fan of the Heights, Illinois Binny's. They've got a great selection, but I'm not a fan of like some of the staff that work over there. They're kind of jerks about it. Like if they knew of any craft breweries that liquor, and he kind of made a face first, and then he said not a full malt liquor, not a full malt beer. Because I know I've seen some that were like a malted ale, or a malt ale is what I've seen on a bottle or two before in the past, and I always like viewed that as maybe I'll grab that when this pops up on the wheel. So, but when I got there, he did not respond kindly, because I actually saw that McKellar has done a malt liquor, and I asked if they had that, and he goes, "We don't carry McKellar." So do you have? He's like, "Yeah, they don't sell here." And I said, "All right, I get it. Can you show me where your malt liquors are? I guess I'll go with one of the macro versions." He's like, we're not allowed to sell in Heights, so we don't carry it. So you have to so I had to leave the border and venture into the. But
where'd you end up going to? Did you go to or no? Okay.
From in the area, to be honest with you. So, but yeah, this place I've been to before, and they have a decent craft beer selection, but it's kind of, I don't know how long most of this stuff has been on the shelf. They have a lot of macros and this kind of stuff for the most part. So I don't think craft is their main. So I don't think they really stay on top of keeping the most fresh stuff. But drinking this, it's not bad. So
no, it's just fine.
Pretty much the malt liquor style, as we know in America, is the higher gravity American style lager, and this was a style that was really created in response to wartime rationing. Said, well, after Prohibition, there was so much regulation of strength of beer, and of course you'll complain, well, we'll just up the ferment, but due to the rationing, said, okay, well, you got all these other fermentables you can use, so okay, you got sugar and stuff like that you can use for fermenting. So ended up, I think they were going for that champagne look is what they were doing, and of course you had others that come out over the years, stuff like that. But I mean, really, up until the craft beer revolution, I mean, these are pretty much, as far as American brew, these were the, I mean, apart from this, Lewis used to do different seasonal beers and stuff like that, different breweries as well, but this was the, pretty much this was the stuff, but that's really all there is to it.
Yeah, no, it was interesting to see how the marketing changed over time, because it started out being a beer that was marketed to sort of the country club set. Never caught on, and then they kind of were like, okay, well, it's not there, so we'll move to America. We'll make it the working man's beer. Value for your money, and that didn't work. And then it wasn't until market in the African American community that they said, well, we'll just market, we can market to these people as a value beer, and that's when it really kind of caught on. So it's got a weird history too, because it's sort of like you place for the product, and then if the product finds a place, but then over time it kind of gets a stigma attached to it, and then it becomes a sort of almost a sort of social issue, which is to kind of see it when you read the history of it.
Brown bag when we started now, that because it's almost it's almost like a shot at it, and it's, to me, this is just a cheaper way of making a beer that tastes similar, Bud Light or a Miller, in my opinion. I mean, all of us as people who drink, full beers and things like that, but this is, I would say, right up there with a macro. It's got the same, malty, and it does not smell like bad at all. I think this is right up there. If you're gonna go with macros, I mean, I would say drink defensive. To me, it tastes almost the same.
Yeah.
Interesting article you posted yesterday, Brandon. So I meant to finish that. I actually started it, but I got a little busy with work and stuff today. But anything else in there that's worth noting that follows what we were just saying, or did we pretty much?
Yeah, it did really go into the social issue beer sort of thing, because you ended up saying, well, they started marketing in a certain way. Well, let's just give all these rappers to essentially market this beer, and of course you had Ice Cube with some of those famous lyrics about St. Ides. I won't mention that on the show, but you know what I'm talking.
Yeah.
There's some of those out there and remarks about malt liquor, but it's one of those things maligned, and well, they're using sex to sell it and stuff like that.
And that.
Oh, he was brought up too, specifically.
I mean, that's a marketing campaign, obviously.
Yeah, it definitely was, and it still is a famous marketing campaign. Because people still think about that. Something else as well, as I noticed, Dan has plastic 40s. Well, there's a reason why I have a glass 40 here. Schlitz and the Schlitz line, that is from the Pat brewed. Of course, it's from the Pat Brewing Company. Of course, it's contract brewed by Miller, but Miller went to 40-ounce bottles for plastic 40-ounce bottles for their beers. So if you're or Milwaukee's Best or Miller High Life or whatever, they're going to come in these plastic 40s. But interestingly enough, Miller contract brews the beers from Pabst, and these still use the glass 40s. Anheuser-Busch still uses 40-ounce bottles, and so does City Brewing. So I figure it's only a matter of time before they start going up the glass. Because one time I was checking out this bottle in the store, stopped at a gas station, and Sunday morning, mind you, and I dropped, it just fell out of my hand. It's plastic, so it just bounced, and I got shook up inside. And one of the old ladies said, "Oh, it got all shook up."
That happened.
Is there any why Malt Liquor is the only beer that you'll see in a 40-ounce bottle?
40-ounce bottle. You can get, for example, Milwaukee's Best in a 40-ounce bottle. You can get Budweiser. You can get natural. I've seen 40-ounce bottles of Natural Light.
That's true. I just saw
a lot of your major ones. You can see in 40-ounce bottles. It depends. A lot of it depends on how well the 40-ounce versions sell in the general area. I know. You used to be able to find 40-ounce bottles for just about anything, and of course, there's also, back in the old days, at least the 64-ounce glass jugs with RC, Coca-Cola, and stuff like that. So it's really a no-brainer. So say a private stock, I have to refer private stock, and it's at the 64-ounce.
Yeah, that's sort of the way that came back. Seems like. No, actually, this is kind of an interesting side note on the sizing, because I was our brew club is having a brew off, and the grand prize is actually going to be the winner gets to brew a beer with Tighthead Brewing here in Munson, because it's late enough in the year that we'll miss this year's program. But the interesting part is that talking about him and bottling beer, and he's getting a new canning line. They've got some plans to expand. He was Durr, the owner, talking about the cost of beer, and he's like, it kills me to see some of the regular beers that people are putting into bombers and then putting out there and selling at $9.99 a bomber, and there's no rational reason why that bomber is priced at that price point compared to like a six-pack or 12 ounces. So it was kind of interesting to hear from a brewer, especially one who his bombers I think range from about $5.99 to $7.99, and they're the regulars. And the $7.99er is it's expensive as it is because it's got a lot of hops in it. It's their Irie IPA. But it's interesting how that size bottle doesn't necessarily constitute a pricing issue. It's sometimes people are just packaging it that way, trying to see how much money they can get out of packaging it that way.
Right.
So I thought that was kind of interesting as far as size of bottles goes. So.
Yeah, a lot of the fact that, especially with the popularity of bombers, when you go to, especially you look at a brewery like Stone, where they their bombers can sell a lot in their six-packs, because when people look at the bomber, say, 22 ounces, Arrogant Bastard, about $5. A six-pack, boy, you're still priced per volume. That Stone IPA six-pack is cheap. What am I going to buy with my money? I'm going to get the Arrogant Bastard, or I'll get the Bomber Stone IPA. Stone IPA for bombers, that's less than about $5. Am I about right?
Oh, I actually haven't bought a bomber in a while, but their six packs are priced here about $11, 11 or 12.
I was going to say about $10.99, $11.99.
Yeah, most of them are. The bombers, they'll get rid of some stock. Like if you go, they'll usually try to clear the shelf for the next one that they're putting out. So, but that's about right. It sounds, but yeah, I don't know. The bombers, I'm getting a little. It's getting to be a little too much, to be honest with me, because I mean a lot of them are looking the same to me, and it's hard to pick and choose lately. Or we've talked about the pricing issues with that before. We don't have to go into that all again, but
right.
For the most part, I do tend to go with, like, I don't know. I've been shopping with with my dollar in mind lately, and I'll go with a six-pack if I can have 6 beers of something for about the same price. I'm less mine lately because before, when it was just a few handful of bombers coming out, it was like, okay, I can get at least every single time this brewery puts something out, but now everyone's doing it, and there's no way to possibly try everything these days, and I've been kind of figuring out what I like and kind of into that. I love Daisy Cutter from Half Acre. I've been stocking on the Pinner now. The Goose Island IPA is the English style IPA is still pretty solid. So I've been all about those lately. I got my hands on a Galactic Double Daisy Cutter though from Half Acre yesterday. So that's in the fridge right now. Along with a 6-pack of Hoomaloopalicious that a friend of mine was gracious enough to bring me back and smuggle from Michigan. Well, I've plenty of stuff, and right now I'm a little busy with this nice. Yeah. I finished half of it, so I'm on my second one already. So this is going.
Yeah, Malt Liquor's out there, in my opinion. The only reason I didn't buy a Mickey's is I figured, well, everybody was going to bring a Mickey's or Colt 45. So, well, you know what, I'll go with a Schlitz Malt Liquor if I could find a 40 of it. If I couldn't find a 40 Schlitz Malt Liquor, I'd have brought Magnum Malt Liquor, because that's one that is just disappearing. That one was just everywhere. But that's you go to some cities, and all right, you might find, like around here, for example, you don't find Pabst Blue Ribbon. You'll find a lot of Schlitz, but you won't find Rouge. I mean, you'll find Pabst Blue Ribbon and Schlitz, but you'll also find just about every single gas station. You can find a 40 of Magnum Malt Liquor, but I cannot find it anywhere else in the state. But I don't know. Mickey's is pretty widespread. So is Colt 45.
Yeah, Kevin, you can go to like Jewel, which is a Chicagoland suburb grocery store out here, and he said that there was a Steel Reserve 40 for like $1.99. It's a 24-ounce can, I think he said. So that stuff's all still Arlington Heights. So I figured I would sell. Just I believe find to find a Mickey's.
Yeah.
A cool little history lesson, you know, and it's a part of beer, and I'm glad it came up. You know, I was dreading the taste, you know, but it's not as bad as I was expecting it to be, just because, you know, I know that you venture into this kind of, you know, the lagers, you know, and things like that, Brandon. So I appreciate you putting it there, because like I said, it's a good history lesson that has to be told, because it's part of beer. So.
Yep. Yes.
Being said, what else is going on? We're in the midst of Chicago Craft Beer Week here, so we could talk about a fest that Dan and I just went to last week. But if you've been, have you been to Parish or anything like that, Brandon?
I've been to Parish in the past week, but I did have.
Sorry. Hey, watching Survivor finale tonight. So.
Don't tell me. I'm recording it right now.
Yeah. My fiance loves the show, so yeah, I will not say a word.
Nice.
So let me go grab it, and I'll chat for a little bit, and then I gotta run. So
no problem. Thanks, man.
Hold on.
Appreciate it.
All right. Yeah. Well, I didn't make it out to Parish. I made brown ale, which is a smoked brown ale. I thought it was all right. I had 2 of them, so I didn't dislike it. I liked enough to get a second. The tap room, they did finish the tap room last year, and of course, also before that, I had 2 KBSs, so that probably did affect my taste.
I saw that. That looked good.
I got lucky because they came out when I was in Boston, and I knew someone, and they stepped a couple of aside for me. So.
Oh yeah, you were telling that story an episode or 2 ago. Forgot about that. Up in Boston.
Not too much. It got the Harpoon Fest was last weekend. I did not go, but the one of the shuttles to get there was leaving like right by where I work on Friday when I was getting out. They were loading people into to take them out to Harpoon. So for sure it was well attended because there was a lot of people out there. Actually had my wife's family, I think, and he also brought back a Dogfish Head 1-minute IPA for me. So I had never actually had the 120 before. So so that was it was definitely a treat. It's good beer. I would have guessed it was 11. It's a strong one.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I think Skylar has had a year-old one on the 120, and he said it ages pretty well since it's so high ABV and it kind of mellows. So it must be was it a fresh or was it?
It was a fresh one, yeah. He actually brought back 2, so I had one of them, but I've got the other one, so I may let it sit for a while.
Thanks for joining us. First of all, Brandon asked to send you the invite. Are you a regular on the circles or what?
I've been following, particularly and a few other folks with their beer reviews, and I'm like I said, I like beer no matter what it is. It could be the cheapest thing to the most expensive thing. I don't discriminate, and I've always been a fan of beer. My first beer I started drinking was 1992 when I was 16. It was as I said tonight, my first beer was a Ballantine Ale. My first 6-pack I bought, and and I've like I said, I've seen a lot of videos from, and I've commented, some positive stuff and some negative stuff I've said about, but it's like, hey, that's just my opinion. You like, whatever you drink, So.
Yep. Of some kind, and this is for a while. Years for it to land. Sharing a Mickey's here. Dan's got one as well, but we both since my college years. Not bad. You know, I'm finishing it. It's not going down the drain, I'll tell you that.
Me too. I've had today. I posted on the hint message. I said, you know, hey, I'm gonna have at least about 2 or 3. This is my second one I've had. You know, so you know, maybe it's just me. You know, I would put this beer right up with Budweiser. You know, I don't get the you know, it's perfect. It goes down easy. It's not that strong. I compare it to Hurricane or some of the other malt liquors that are out there. You know, I buy this regularly myself, and you know, again, I would match this or compete this with Bud, and I'd probably pick this over Budweiser. That's just me.
Yeah, we were saying something similar to that before you jumped. I could see myself cutting the lawn and drinking this. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like I said earlier, we're in the midst of Chicago Craft Beer Week. That happened like just before, I don't know.
Still last week, yeah.
Kickoff party for Chicago Craft Beer Week, and it was my 3rd year for that. And Dan, this was your first or your second. I'm sorry. Give your opinions and you know, note anything that you wanted to mention about it. But I had a blast. I thought it was up there with one of the best ones out there. Even though we had a little rain, it wasn't bad. People didn't run inside. It was, you know, people were still hanging out outside, kind of drizzling a little bit. Keep going. So
yeah, the Garfield Park Conservatory is you know, and it's beautiful. Half the fest outside is inside. Raining, that made a little bit of it made some inconvenience going outside, but it was a nice warm rain, so it wasn't a problem. The beers were phenomenal. The crowd of people who showed up to that, different kind of people, nicest crowd of people, just from kind of everywhere, kind of coming in to taste some beer. So between the people and the beers, which were a lot of, you know, not all of them were great, but enough of them were that they more than made up for it. It was a fun time. And couldn't beat the company. So
yeah, that's the best part about that. I geek out just being at that fest because I listen to a lot of podcasts, especially the ones based in Chicago. I just remember being in one spot. There was like 4 or 5 dudes that I recognized from either podcasts I listen to or breweries that I definitely frequent or know of, and so it's fun. The people there, it's definitely the one where everyone tries to go to because, like I said, the kickoff party for that whole week, which is still going on. I mean, the Chicago Craft Beer Week starts and finishes on the 24th or something like that. So it's like 10 days, not really just a week. It goes on. But, you know, there's
right around Memorial Day weekend, right?
yeah.
And we speaking of festivals, we have our festival we call the Dolphin Street Beer Fest, which is around about late August, about a week or 2 weeks before Labor Day weekend, and that Saturday, all you know, day from I think it starts from about 2 in the afternoon, goes all the way up until midnight, and that whole street section of Dolphin in Mobile, all day, you know, you're drinking different beers, craft beers. You got to buy your ticket. And it's about like $20, or I think when it's about 25, and you're trying all beers from PBR to, you know, every craft beer that's made throughout the country and whatever foreign beer out there. So, you know, cool. It's a pretty cool day.
Now, how's the brewery scene in Alabama? Because it seems like the South in general. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay. I was just going to say, it seems like the South in general has finally gotten their arms around the laws that have kind of stifled breweries.
Recently, say about 2006, 2007, or, you know, where a lot of the laws really began to change on some of the beers. I mean, our state is very funny that way. 1990, in downtown Mobile, and they left, and then Hurricane Brewery came on the scene about 2007. And they were here for a couple of years, and then they left, and now it's some Mexican restaurant. But it's just some of the laws are so funny. Now things within the last, like I said, since 2008 and 9, things have changed. The laws have gotten a little more. You can, people can do a lot of home brewing, winemaking in your own home, and also a lot more craft beers are being made. So I think breweries back then, when I came down to the state, was maybe about 9 or so. Now there's about 20 breweries.
Issue, or what were the laws?
The politics here in the state, it's just, I don't know, it's just goofy in some odd way, and of course some of them like to use, and I'm not putting any religious issue on it, but it's just they like to throw the biblical verse and talk about, oh, it's going to destroy marriage, I mean, it's just, they pull on, folks. Stop it. I feel about it,
Yeah.
That it's
happen every single year. It has been going on now for 20 plus years. It's going to be happening again in, like I said, 2 days. So it's a very fun day. If you're in, like I said, that weekend, it's just that Saturday, that whole day. Starts about, like I said, 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, goes on until midnight. So it's a pretty fun day. You go into different bars throughout that whole time, sampling different beers.
So we yeah, I was saying I grabbed a couple really good beers yesterday. I was at Dan. Have you had many beers from Mars Z?
I've seen them pop up, but I haven't really gotten any from them that I can think of.
Highly recommend it. Anyone in at least the Chicagoland area. I don't know how far they're right now. I don't or outside the city because small. And I think they're owned by the people who run Maria's, like up by U.S. Cellular Field, where I had a couple of their beers, and it looks like they're, from what my friend that lives in the area said, they are building a brewery on top of Maria's Korean barbecue. Which,
right.
I don't know what sense that makes, but it's delicious because I went to it once.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. But it's a really. Have you ever been to Maria's section, like in the front store area of the bar? There's tons to buy to take home. That's where I got the Galactic. We're lined around the block at that. Yeah. I don't even know if it's sold out. A friend who, with no effort whatsoever, yes. But I highly recommend you check it out if you can. I highly recommend you get those beers if you see them anywhere. Where did you see them up from where you're at?
But I think I've been reading more about them online than I've actually seen them in stores. Prettyville, because that's the kind of thing that he'd probably glom onto right away if it became available distribution-wise. The distribution's too, because I guess that was about 6 months ago. AB InBev bought out one of the major conglomeration bought another independent. So as a result, there's been a lot of consolidation of and like you're pretty much locked into a contract once you sign on with a distributor. But these change hands like that, suddenly everything's up in the air again. So it might be hard for some people to kind of get in their get their beers into a portfolio. Not only with all the beers that are going into market, the changing. I'm not sure I've actually seen more. The only other place I could think of would be Firkin would be a likely candidate for it to pop up on tap, but I'm not remembering it. I think I mostly have read about it, to be honest.
I say check them out because the 2 IPAs I had were fantastic, and the Maria's too. If you've never been there, go because it's
okay.
So what was the other thing I was going to say? Oh, you just had a temperance beer, didn't you? Or not temperance. The coffee beer. What was the one that?
The Night and Day. I opened up one of the Impy Stouts from what is it?
Brilliant.
Now I'm thinking temperance. That is about as intensely flavored a coffee beer as I've ever had in a good way. I mean, if you can still get it. Tasty.
I think I've got one of those in the fridge, and I've got it was night and
day.
Yeah, because they've got 2 of them. They're both.
I think I had the there's like an, but it was good.
it's just a perfect stout to me. Perfect nightcap beer to have late in the evening. You know, just you sit down on your couch, you just relaxing. It's the perfect nightcap beer. You know, that one and the Old Chub is.
Oh yeah, the Scotch Ale, the wee heavy.
Yes.
Beer. Yeah, no, Oscar Blues does not put out a bad beer. I mean, if you're a hophead, they their Dale's Pale and their the what is it, the good is good stuff.
Couple of those, year or two, those things are great because not only, I mean, they're in the perfect value to age it too, but the ABV on those things are so strong you can age those easily.
10%, I think it is for the 1050 when I last checked. But hey, real quick, guys, is it fair to say the Malt Liquor, and I've said this to everyone, those beers, the Country Club and the Schlitz, those old malt liquors, I think those were the ones, in my opinion, that kind of were really of the craft beers that we have right now. Excuse my daughter, sir. She has some picture right now.
And will come down like every other episode, and you'll see him behind him.
Yes. So.
No way. We're Dan's got 2 boys. It's all good.
But like I said, I think they're the foundations of what we have in terms of the craft beer movement because those beers were strong. Because like I said, the alcohol back in the day were so inept. Producing strong beer with a little more kick to it that, craft beers today, with some with 8%, 9%, whatever. I think the malt liquor is really kind of the ones that really kind of started it because the ones that really, just as was the for what we have today. We would all agree or disagree.
We were saying that it played an important role in history when it comes to beer. Go ahead and have your say there.
No, that we had mentioned that earlier. That the way these and so malt liquor paved some of the ways, I think, for craft beer now and some of the direct on. So definitely.
Yeah. No, and it started out, it seems like, as far as the brewing history of it goes, with the smaller breweries. It was not really picked up by the Schlitzes and the Anheuser-Busch breweries. It was the smaller, more regional brewing operations that kind of kicked it off, which is, that's very much what craft beer is all about, sort of like innovation starting with the the smaller breweries and then kind of working their way upwards.
Interesting, and I didn't realize, because you always hear about, during the era, just out all the breweries, and then, everyone just got used to, for the wheel last week because it's a good discussion and it's a cool little part in history. So.
Yeah, and it's not bad. I mean,
it's not.
It's good beer.
It's just strong beer. That's all it is.
Yeah, that's right. No, it's funny how, I mean, that's kind of the bad evil side of the equation is that there has been this sort of beer snobbery that's come up where, even if you're not or don't think you're a snob, this thing pops up on the wheel and you're like, oh man, I don't want to try that. That's going to be awful. It's sight unseen, and then you try it and it's like, okay.
I wasn't looking forward to it. I haven't had a Mickey's since I was in college, and
guilty as charged too. I mean, I was the same way. I'm glad that I got demystified of the stupidity that I was honest.
4 ounces in my belly. But we can figure out what we're gonna put as one because I think we only have a couple minutes left before the show's over. I don't know if Jean-Pierre, you invite list.
Wednesday nights is pretty quiet now with as we're about to get from the spring to summer months. Sure, why not?
And so whatever you can do. So since you're the newest guy, I'll let you go ahead and throw something on the wheel. I mean, we'll throw out what we've got on there already. So we've got a wild card, which means bring whatever you got. We drink. And if you can make it, and you don't have the exact beer we're drinking on this, kind of have a little. So we got the wild card, which is anything. We got a collaboration beer, which is 2 breweries working together to brew a beer together. Anything local. If there's a beer you pronounce, That's one of the other ones we've got on here. Something that you can see anything 13% or higher. An imp beer, a Goza, an ESB, a Saison, a Belgian triple.
That's true.
You can think of you want to add to that?
Right now, I can't think of anything. I mean, whatever y'all got coming up next week, like I said, I got a couple of places that I go, a couple of supermarkets. I know there's Rouse's that I go a lot. That's in here in Mobile, and I go to a package store that has a lot of good selection of craft beers. Also another supermarket I go to a lot called Publix. So, I mean, whatever y'all want to do next week, I'll try to locate and find it and message it on you guys on Facebook and see. Hey, I'm down. I got.
Good idea.
Yeah, those are beginning to kind of pop up.
Is that a wheat beer?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. From the yeast.
I think I could find that at my spot that I go to. I think I could get that.
All right.
I just had a grapefruit Hefeweizen yesterday from Oddside Ales. Remember that place, the place in Michigan?
Oh,
that,
yeah. Up in what is that? Not Grand Rapids. It's yeah, I know what you're talking about.
They do the stuff there was, in my opinion. So I'm gonna go ahead and spin the wheel since we're getting close to the end of the hour here. Is it spinning? I can't tell.
Yeah, it is.
All right, what Belgian
The
triple.
Belgian triple.
So that works because I've been interested in brew dogs.
Yes, I did.
That was like so cool how they did it, and someone seeing the bottles with all that dust. And I like the way they did it. They didn't have to brew a beer. They didn't have to.
Belgian IPA, anything Belgian,
You can bring anything you want. But yeah, okay. I mean, we've got Belgian, which is like a Belgian style beer. But if
sure. No problem.
Whatever beer you want. If you want, I'm gonna go ahead and bring it to an end here because we're almost at 9 o'clock. So appreciate you guys joining us. Good to have a new member to the site join our circle, so that way we'll have you on the list every time. So
all right, thanks, guys.
No problem. Thanks for joining. For anyone watching or listening, you can catch these episodes on YouTube, on my channel, Mike Copera. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. So go ahead and follow us on those, and you can get updates on whenever we're doing an episode and what style we're going to do. So we will see you guys next week. We'll be drinking Belgian triples, and